Maryland men's and women's basketball continue to thrive at the Xfinity Center. Women's lacrosse started off its season on the right foot, and men's lacrosse got stunned in Baltimore. We'll break down all of that and more on this edition of The Left Bench.
I felt like for a while there we were kind of hanging in there, and we just could not get over the hump and get the goal to go ahead.
I believed in our team. I had faith in our team, our kids, that they could do this tonight, and I'm very thankful that they did.
Hello and welcome to The Left Bench presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Jonas Evans alongside Nathan Schwartz. And Nate, there's a ton for us to discuss in the next 30 minutes, but let's start with Maryland men's basketball, a team that just can't stop winning at home.
You're right, Jonas. The Terps hosted Penn State on Saturday in front of a sold-out Xfinity Center crowd, and those fans definitely had a lot to cheer for. Kevin Willard's Terps are back in the win column after a win over that team up north this weekend. Hakeem Hart led the way with 23 points, and he was the difference maker on both sides of the floor. It was the annual Red Out game, and with a crowd of almost 18,000, the Xfinity Center was rocking all day long. Don Carey and Dante Scott started the scoring with a pair of threes, helping to push the Terps to an early 21-9 lead in the first half. The Nittany Lions would not go away, though. Led by guard Jalen Pickett, Penn State clawed its way back, only trailing by 3 going into halftime. Then Hart turned on the gas, exploding offensively in the second half. The senior went 8 for 10 from the field on his 23-point day, which marks his season high in points. Defensively, Hart tallied 2 steals, both giving the Terps good looks on the other end. Jameer Young's 18 points along with Juju Reese's 11 helped seal the Maryland victory, and the Terps took this one 74-68. Here's Kevin Willard on the impact of that crowd.
This building rocks, man. It's really helped us. The students are into it. They're loud. So I mean, we've played Wisconsin, Purdue, Michigan State, Iowa.
There's not a lot left on this side.
Somebody else on the road, and every game, every place is packed. Like Michigan State was loud, Purdue's loud, Wisconsin's loud. Our building is loud. It's a great home court.
And with just 6 games remaining in the regular season, it's time to start thinking about March.
That's right, Selection Sunday is less than 4 weeks away, and Kevin McNulty joins us now to tell us how Maryland stacks up against the rest of the field. Kevin?
Yeah, guys, I just want to point out how refreshing it is to be talking about March Madness after last year's little tournament hiatus for the men's team. But, I mean, right now, 6 games left in the regular season, like you said, Nate. Let's take a look at Maryland's tournament resume. Quickly, let's first start out by talking about the selection committee's process for actually fielding the 68-team bracket. Although it's been known to use computer rankings like BPI and KenPom, which we'll check out in a minute, the net rankings are the main determining factor for where a team ends up. So as of Monday, Kevin Willard's Terps reside at number 28 in the net, which is pretty good considering they haven't been ranked in the AP poll in over a month. But believe it or not, all of these numbers here are most of what's going to determine where they land on Selection Sunday. Maryland stands at 17-8 overall and 2-6 on the road. That's not great, but a lot of teams higher than them in the rankings also have just 2 road wins. The Terps are 2-1 at neutral sites, which includes wins over Miami and St. Louis early in the year, and that loss to a top 10 Tennessee team at the Barclays Center. So that's pretty good as well. And obviously, they've been money here in College Park, undefeated, besides that loss to UCLA in December. Then there's the quads over here, super important, but also super confusing. Basically, a quad 1 win is a good win over a team high up in these rankings, while a quad 4 loss would be a bad loss to a team down there way in the basement in the 300s. So Maryland has 3 quad 1 wins, not great. Only 4 teams above them in the net have fewer. And picking up another one of those on Thursday would be huge. But the Terps have been winning games they're expected to win, with just 1 loss outside of quad 1. That was actually their first loss of the year at Wisconsin. All right, and I mentioned KenPom earlier, but let's take a look at where Maryland resides in those ratings, because Kevin Willard and the national pundits reference them all the time. Similar to the net, the Terps sit 2 spots higher here at 26th, with 4 Big Ten teams ahead of them: Illinois, Indiana, Rutgers, and of course Purdue. Now the important numbers here are the offensive and defensive efficiency ratings. And if you remember, during Maryland's rut in early January, its defensive efficiency was way down. It has since recovered, and the Terps' efficiency margin stands at plus 18, which puts them at 26. So like I said, the selection committee probably pays a little bit of attention to that efficiency margin that old Ken Pomeroy puts out year after year. It's a strong measuring stick for where teams end up heading in the tournament. So where does this leave Maryland in the projections here in year 1 under Kevin Willard? Well, Jerry Palm of CBS Sports has the most up-to-date projections of any of the bracketologists. And as of Monday morning, he has the Terps as an 8 seed in the West region, which would square them up with Memphis down in Birmingham. And it's worth noting, however, that ESPN's Joe Lunardi has Maryland as a 7 seed in the South as of last Friday, before that win over Penn State. If I had to guess right now, the Terps will land somewhere in that 7 to 10 range, where they were 2 years ago in 2021. And a deep Big Ten tournament run could definitely give them a boost. And you guys know what else could give them a boost: a win here in College Park on Thursday over now number 3 Purdue.
There's no doubt about that, Kevin. A potential storm court in the works for Maryland.
It would be as chaotic as you trying to say that right there. And look, they had a real chance. They were really close to beating Purdue on the road, and so they've got a real chance at home. And that home crowd's been electric all year.
That may have been a Bill Raftery impression. He's
I
on
try
the
my
call
best,
Thursday
Kevin.
night, so if it happens, that's how he's probably going to call it.
That was all natural. All right, thanks, Kevin, for
Thank
coming
you,
on.
guys.
Thanks, Kevin. It was senior day on Super Bowl Sunday for Maryland women's basketball, and the Terps took down Illinois for their 8th straight home win. It took a while for Brenda Friese's squad to get going on this one, and the unranked Fighting Illini gave the Terps some real trouble. It was a sluggish start, to say the least, especially on offense. Both Abby Myers and Cheyenne Sellers couldn't get in a rhythm, and the Terps went into halftime down by 9, only scoring 28 points. But Coach Friese made the halftime adjustments her team needed to bring up the intensity. The Terps installed a full-court press that Illinois never really found the answer to. Leading the charge for Maryland was, of course, Diamond Miller. The senior continued her impressive senior campaign, putting up 31 points, just one shy of her career high. The second half was all Terps, as they nearly doubled their first half total, even without making a 3 all game. 31 points in the third quarter was enough to give the Terps a double-digit lead that they held on to for the rest of the game, taking this one 82-71. Here's what head coach Brenda Friese had to say about her team's gutsy win.
Terrific response out of the locker room. We spent a lot of time talking about our energy, and specifically on the defensive end when your shots aren't falling. And I thought the response in the third quarter, when it was 31-8, you saw our full court press. We were a lot more dialed in, and just can't say enough. I thought Bree gave us some really important minutes in that time as well.
Nate, they get things done. This team really gets things done. Good, not making a single 3 all game, but to still beat an Illinois team that really went out and put together a really great performance. It shows how great the coaching staff is here at Maryland, and it shows how in control Brenda Friese is.
Absolutely. She's been a mainstay in this program for nearly 2 decades now, and to see Maryland just consistently at the top of the women's basketball rankings, can get a 2 seed if they keep playing the way they are right now in the women's basketball tournament here in a couple weeks. Just an overall great year for Brenda Friese and the Terps.
Absolutely. Diamond Miller and the Terps will take on Michigan State in East Lansing this Saturday, followed by 2 huge games against Iowa and Ohio State to close out the regular season.
Maryland men's lacrosse took the trip up to Loyola, Maryland on Saturday, and they did something they have not done in 3 seasons, and that's lose a regular season game. Loyola came out flying, putting the Terps in an early 2-goal deficit. Daniel Kelly started the scoring for Maryland to break up the Greyhounds' momentum. From then on, the 2 teams traded blows, but Maryland just could not take the lead. With 7 seconds left in the first half, Loyola's Henry Haberman scored a pivotal goal that gave the Greyhounds into halftime. This third quarter saw more back-and-forth action, but an offensive surge from Loyola in the fourth quarter put the Terps in a 6-point hole. And to make matters worse, Logan McNaney exited the game in the fourth quarter with a lower leg injury. The Terps continued to inch back, bringing it to a 5-goal deficit, but it was too little, too late, as the unranked Greyhounds pulled off the huge 12-7 upset, delivering Maryland its first regular season loss since February 18th of 2020.
I felt like for a while there we were kind of hanging in there, and we just could not get over the hump and get the goal to go ahead, and that's a credit to them. So again, looking at the stats, obviously the stats don't always tell the story, certainly when you look at shots and face-offs, but again, give Loyola credit, they deserved it today.
While the men's team didn't fare so well on Saturday, the Kathy Reese-led women's lacrosse team began its 50th season in style Saturday against St. Joseph's. The Terps came out red hot at their temporary home of CQ Stadium. After St. Joe's canceled out a Victoria Hench opening goal, Maryland ended their first quarter on a 6-0 scoring run by 6 different goal scorers. Then, more of the same. The same continued for the Terps offensively. Chrissy Thomas and Jordan Lipkin both completed hat tricks in the third quarter, and Eloise Clevenger tallied a game-high 5 points, dishing out 4 assists and scoring a goal. Leading 9-2 at the half, the Terps defense did not give up an inch in the final 2 periods, led by returners Emily Sterling and Abby Bosco. Sterling, the reigning national goalie of the year, made 8 saves and conceded only 3 goals as the Terps defense gave up just 5 goals on 16 shots in a 15-5 win.
Love what we saw from just a variety of different areas today. You know, I think we saw a lot of players making an impact all over the field. Emily Sterling was phenomenal in the goal cage, really anchored our defense. And we did a great job clearing the ball today and just holding on to it and possessing it. That's something we've really been focusing on. And then offensively, I think we saw a lot of things from a lot of different players.
Well, we just heard from Kathy Reese, but what about one former player who couldn't stay away from the program for too long? Kira Bruno has the story.
I've just always had that piece of my heart missing.
A familiar face is back on the field for Maryland women's lacrosse. USA national champion and Terp alum Alex Oss-Holman is ready to take on her new role as a volunteer assistant coach this season.
And can make lacrosse fun and simple and enjoyable, and know what it means to be a Terp, know what it means to play for Maryland.
Ost helped lead her team to the 2010 national championship, and she went a modest 84-8 during her time in a Maryland uniform.
10 years since playing for this program, and Alex still has the same energy she once had as a team captain. And of course, with the goal in mind to help the Terps bring that national championship back to College Park, just this time doing it from the sideline.
Ost says she just couldn't stay away from the program and turned down an opportunity to work with head coach Kathy Reese once again.
I'm definitely, I would say, a little bit of a mini-me of Kathy.
But according to Reese, she is still the same Alex she was 10 years ago. Oh, and don't be surprised if you see Ost lacing up her cleats with the team, something she likes to do often.
Being the cut that she makes that pass to is so helpful to see how that actually translates on the field.
Since her days playing at Maryland, Ost has formed her own online fitness community, puts together lacrosse camps across the U.S., and shares her passion for health and wellness on her social media. At the end of the day, Ost says she just wants to be a part of the ride.
Any small or big impact I can make from, player 1 through 34, or also just on the team in general, is going to be, fulfilling to me.
For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Kira Bruno.
And Jonas, it's always great to see a former player come back to the school they played for and join the coaching staff.
Yeah, and I mean, who better for these players on the team currently to look up to than someone who has found so much success in College Park? It's just a perfect fit.
Absolutely, she's a great fit for this coaching staff this year.
Oh yeah.
And keep it right here, because when we come back, we'll recap all of the weekend action for Maryland wrestling, tennis, and softball.
And later, Maryland Baseball Network's Ben Reitman will be in studio to preview the season ahead for Maryland baseball. Don't go anywhere.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Left Bench, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Jonas Evans here with Nathan Schwartz. And Nate, Friday night was a historic one here in College Park because Maryland wrestling finally ended its 7-year conference win drought.
That's right, Jonas. The pavilion was packed for senior night against Purdue, and the Terps closed it out in celebratory fashion. After losing 4 of its first 5 fights, Maryland's comeback effort began with a John Martin Best win. Best's match went to overtime, but a late escape and takedown gave him the win. Dom Solis then won his first bout in nearly a month, breaking a 5-match losing streak. Maryland lost at 184, and it came down to Jackson and Jaron Smith. Jackson delivered in his first fight after returning from injury. A series of takedowns and bonus points from a win by fall put the Terps within striking distance, and in his final meet at the PAV, it was up to Jaron Smith to complete the comeback. Smith put up the first points on a board with a takedown in the first round and never gave up his lead. His win gave the Terps a 19-18 victory, their first Big Ten win since 2016. Here's what head coach Alex Clemson had to say after the win.
But dual meets have momentum and energy, and I said, we went on runs last year, and we can do that again this year. We got to win 4 or 5, and we just need one to get us started. And John got us started. Dom followed it up. Kuzi had great effort. Jackson, I mean, it was good. And I believed in our team. I had faith in our team, our kids, that they could do this tonight, and I'm very thankful that they did.
The celebration for the Terps was short-lived as they traveled to Happy Valley on Sunday to take on #1 Penn State. And let's just say the Terps couldn't string together 2 straight wins. The start of the duel went well for Maryland, as Braxton Brown narrowly defeated Gary Steen to give the Terps a 3-0 lead. But that would be the extent of Maryland's success. The Nittany Lions won all 9 of the remaining bouts, including wins via tech fall for both Roman Bravo Young and Shane Van Ness. Penn State's Seth Nevels pinned Jordan Gabriel in the heavyweight bout, finishing off the 44-3 win and clinching the regular season Big Ten title for the Nittany Lions.
Maryland Gymnastics was on the road Saturday looking to snap a 2-match losing streak against Rutgers. It was a historic day for the Scarlet Knights, but the Terps still managed to get the win in Jersey. Rutgers was breaking all kinds of program records on Saturday, putting up the highest ever score in the floor and 3rd highest team total in program history. But even with such an impressive run from the Scarlet Knights, the Terps were even better. Maryland started off strong with a 9.9 on the bars from Sierra Kondo, followed by an impressive performance at the vault, led by Reese McClure and Alexis Rubio, who both scored 9.825s. The tight match came down to the beam, where Maryland clinched it with an impressive 9.925 from sophomore Josephine Kogler. The Terps put up their highest score of the season, beating Rutgers 196.875 to 196.325. And we're just getting started with our gymnastics content this week, because our next In Focus show will cover all things Maryland gymnastics.
Yep, our Matthew News and Jesse Schwartz will present that to you Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And Jonas, this gymnastics squad is really heating up.
Yeah, that show's definitely going to cover Emma Silberman, because she's having an incredible season so far. She's been so clutch for the Terps.
And Coach Brett Nelligan has the program in a really good spot, so I'm excited we're going to be able to have an In Focus show with them later this week.
Absolutely.
Maryland tennis was in Lynchburg, Virginia for a doubleheader over the weekend, and the Terps took down Liberty 4-0 on Friday and beat North Texas 4-1 on Sunday. It was a great stretch for sophomore Francesca Fyodorov and grad student Hannah McCloggin, who both won 3 matches. Maryland is 7-1 on the season and will look to win its 5th straight match against William & Mary at home on Saturday.
Maryland softball kicked off its season down in Mexico with the Puerto Vallarta College Challenge, and Mark Montgomery's squad had quite the weekend. The action started on Thursday as Maryland took on number 22 Oregon, and the Terps wasted no time getting the bats going. Trinity Schlotterbeck lined a single up middle that brought in 2, giving Maryland a 3-0 lead. 2 batters later, it was the freshman Madison Runyon lacing a 2-run double into right field, capping off a 5 spot in the first inning. Senior Courtney Weish looked spectacular in the circle, going 5 2/3 innings and only giving up 3 runs in the season opener. Maryland rode that first inning success all the way to the 7th and came out with an upset 7-3 win over the Ducks. The bats stayed hot for the Terps on Friday when they faced BYU, and once again a big inning offensively carried them to victory. Maryland used 4 separate RBI singles and a sac fly to put up 7 runs in the bottom of the 3rd, leading to a 10-2 Mercy Rule win over the Cougars, and their first 2-0 start since 2013. Saturday wasn't so friendly to Montgomery and company. Maryland committed 5 errors and couldn't get anything going at the plate, as Cal Baptist handed the Terps their first loss of the season. Day 4 of the tournament started with Maryland facing off against number 3 Oklahoma State, and to the surprise of many, the Terps were too much for the Cowboys to handle. With the score notched at 2 in the top of the 3rd, sophomore Amelia Lesh came up to the plate with the bases loaded, and on the 10th pitch of the at-bat, Lesh skied over the left center field wall, giving Maryland a 6-2 lead on the slam. The teams traded runs the rest of the way, but a Mackenzie Greco 2-run triple in the 6th sealed Maryland's first win over a top 3 team since 2017. And from one diamond to another now, because Maryland baseball gets underway this weekend.
And to preview the season, we're excited to welcome on the Director of Broadcasting for the Maryland Baseball Network, Ben Reitman. Ben, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, Ben, let's start with the guys that are no longer with the team. Boba Aline, Troy Schreffler Jr., and Ryan Ramsey drafted in the MLB draft last summer. Maxwell Costas signed as an undrafted free agent. How's Rob Vaughn going to be able to make up for all that loss this year?
Well, when you have a season like the team had last year, it's easy to convince guys to want to come play for you, and that's what Rob Vaughn has done this offseason. The biggest transfer name that's going to fill into the outfield is Matt Woods, the NEC Player of the Year at Bryant University last year. He's going to stick right in the outfield for the Terps. He also went out and got Nate Haberthier from Ohio State. He's likely going to fill into the back of that rotation. Another guy to watch, another newcomer, Elijah Lambros, transfer from South Carolina, is another contender to play in the outfield.
Yeah, and Ben, Matt Shaw had a huge impact on this team last season, and he's already racking up all the preseason awards. What do you expect from him this year?
I expect him to put up numbers like maybe no Maryland offensive player has ever done before. He is the heart and soul of this team. He is just the key cog in this lineup. He is all ball. He just comes to work every day. He's not on social media. He just absolutely works his tail off, and that's why Rob Vaughn loves him so much. I think Matt Shaw is going to have a historic year at the plate this year.
And there's no doubt that he might go in the first round of next year's MLB draft, or this upcoming summer's MLB draft. So we've talked a little bit about the hitters so far. Let's talk about this rotation. So Savicle, you said Haberthier, Nick Dean's coming back for his senior season. The Terps also lost a couple guys in the bullpen, Sean Hine, Will Glock, to name a few. How's the pitching staff going to look this year?
Well, I think Jason Savicle is ready for his turn to be the number one guy. He sat behind Sean Burke and Ryan Ramsey. Now he's the number one guy. He's going to make the big starts. Nick Dean coming back is huge for this program. He didn't have a great year last year, but there's no reason to expect that he won't bounce back this year. And then I mentioned Nate Haberthier, who faced Maryland last year at the Bob, is going to be a nice addition to the back end of that rotation. It should be a really solid pitching rotation again for the Terps.
And Ben, we're talking about all the stars on this roster, but who are some names that Terps fans should look out for that are going to fly under the radar a little bit?
I think a couple of guys that saw a little bit of action last year but are in line for bigger roles. Ian Petrutz, who made some starts towards the end of last year at left field and DH. Fantastic hitter. He was on the College Park all-regional team. I think he's going to have a big year. Another guy, a utility player for the Terps, Zach Martin, under the radar guy as well. He should get some big at-bats because of his versatility on the diamond.
And Ben, one last question before we let you go. What's the ceiling for this team?
Oh, the ceiling is Omaha. There's no question about it. This team completely shattered everything that we have ever known about Maryland baseball last year. And I think Rob Vaughn expects his team to be in Omaha, and anything less would be a disappointment.
All right, Ben. Well, that's all we got for you. Thank you so much for coming on today.
You can listen to Ben and his crew throughout the year by hopping on MarylandBaseballNetwork.com. And when we come back, we'll be joined by TSC Editor-in-Chief Brandon Schwartzberg to talk some Super Bowl hypotheticals.
And as always, we'll crown our Terp of the Week, Pro Terp, and Top 5 Plays. Stay with us.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Welcome back once again to the Left Bench. I'm Nathan Schwartz. That's Jonas Evans.
And that's Brandon Schwartzberg, who's here to talk about Sunday's big game.
Brandon, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back with you, too.
Of course, it's always great to have you on the show.
Yes.
And real quick, I want to ask both of you guys, what are your thoughts from Sunday's game? Kansas City 38, Philadelphia 35.
I'll let you start, Brandon.
Okay. Yeah, it was a good football game. It was a little bit disappointing. It kind of ended with the call for the holding. But I'm just happy the Chiefs won. I know our friend Alex Gary he's mourning right now.
But not a good day for Alex Gary on Monday.
No, it is not. But you made it, and I think he can come away with that feeling good.
I will give a compliment to the Eagles a little bit. That short yardage play that they run where they just dive down low, it works every time. It might be the most broken play I've seen in the NFL.
Yeah, that quarterback sneak is insane.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts played really well, but Patrick Mahomes played better in the end. So, okay, now we have some hypotheticals that we're going to go through real fast. So the first one, guys, who is your ideal halftime show performers?
Yeah,
Brandon?
I can go off. I've got two guys really that are in the back of my mind. Number one, I'd like to see Kendrick Lamar back out there. I think he did great last year. And then I want to see J. Cole there. I know he doesn't really go on concert a lot, so kind of like Rihanna, if he could perform at the halftime for the Super Bowl, I think that'd be really cool.
Rihanna was great. Rihanna was
phenomenal.
Great. And I'll say I'm not a huge fan of either one of these, but Drake would be great. There's so many great bangers, and Taylor Swift the same thing. She would put on an incredible performance. I know that. Shake It Off is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't listen to a whole lot of music. I don't really have a horse in the race, but just based on a performance standpoint, I think from a global impact standpoint, how big it would be, I think Taylor Swift and Harry Styles would be, if those two were to perform, especially if they were to perform together for some odd reason, that would break the internet, and it would be absolutely insane.
Absolutely. Let's talk some Super Bowl foods real quick. I'll start quickly. I was always a taco guy back home. My mom would always make tacos for the Super Bowl. I know that's not really on brand, but that was always my thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm a traditional barbecue wing guy. I had some barbecue wings on Sunday night. Sweet barbecue, though. I don't do anything spicy.
Yeah.
15 wings, it's a good amount. Fries, nachos, pizza, just all the junk food, give it to me with some Coke Zero on the side.
Yeah, you named all the foods I was going to go. I think dive a little bit deeper with the nachos. I think that it's a staple at any sporting event, and so why should that be any different for the Super Bowl? I think that get a nice protein on it, chicken, beef, steak, chili, you name it, put it on there, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon, you're from outside Baltimore. Any crab cakes for the Super Bowl ever?
Sometimes when I was home watching with my family and mom, we would get these little mini crab cakes at Wegmans. So good. So definitely, if you can try it, I say get it.
I still got to go to Jimmy's sometime.
Yes,
I'm still waiting to go there.
I've lived in Maryland my whole life. I've never been.
Really?
So it's a bucket list thing for me.
Yes,
not a true
absolutely.
Marylander until you get Jimmy's.
I guess not.
Yeah.
I guess not.
And then lastly, I'll ask you guys the question now. So which either current Maryland athlete do you want to see in the Super Bowl, or one that is already in the NFL?
I'm going to go with DJ Moore. I think he's played so well at such a high level for so long that I think he deserves it. I mean, the Panthers haven't really been in the race since he's been there. Not really. So I would really say I'd want to see DJ Moore there. I think he definitely deserves it.
I'm going to go with a current Terp, and I'm going to say Bo Braid. I just love his playing style, love his energy, and I think he would make a lot of big plays in the Super Bowl, just kind of like Nick Bolton did on Sunday with that fumble return for a touchdown, had one taken away from him, too.
He deserved that second touchdown.
Yeah, I think he was a dark horse pick for MVP a lot of the way there.
Yeah, and I'm going to go Chiga Okonkwo. He was a lot of fun to watch last year. He had a great rookie season. Now, it'd be great if he could get off the Titans, because obviously as a Ravens fan, Titans are not exactly great friends. So if he could get off the Titans, maybe to an NFC team and win a Super Bowl, that'd be great.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And thank you so much, Brandon, for coming on.
Thanks, Brandon.
And now it's time to hand out our weekly honors. Our Terp of the Week was the star of the show in front of a packed Xfinity Center crowd on Saturday. That's right, it's men's basketball. Hakeem Hart, the senior guard, has had a terrific season so far, but Saturday's performance against Penn State was something special. Hart was 8 for 10 from the floor, scoring a season-high 23 points, which led the team. He also added 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and even 2 steals. He was doing everything. Number 13 has been a crucial two-way player for the Terps, and Saturday proved just how valuable he is to that team. Congrats to Hakeem on being named our Terp of the Week.
And our Pro Terp this week helped lead Maryland men's soccer's backline over the past couple seasons. And earlier this week, he signed his first professional contract. I'm talking about former Maryland center back Chris Rendove. The former walk-on turned team captain played a huge role in Maryland's success last fall, winning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week twice and being named to the All-Big Ten first team. That production caught the eye of Sporting Kansas City, who took Rendove 37th overall in the MLS Super Draft a few months ago. And now, Rendove looks to be a mainstay in KC for years to come. Congrats to Chris for being this week's Pro Terp.
All right, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's our top 5 plays of the week. Nate, get us going.
All right, let's start off at number 5. It's junior Victoria Hensch from Maryland Women's Lax faking out the goalkeeper and smashing the ball into the net. Hensch found the hole in the defense and made that look real easy.
At number 4, it's our Terp of the Week, Hakeem Hart dropping a defender and finding a cutting Ian Martinez for the slam. Great vision and teamwork from the pair. Look at that, finds him on the baseline. Ian Martinez, he's got some hops, Nate.
He sure does. Now to women's basketball for our number 3 play. It's Abby Myers getting the offensive board and putting it up for the and one. She just wanted that one more. Great strength on the putback for Myers.
Staying with Brenda Friese's squad for our number 2 play, it's Cheyenne Sellers in transition with the beautiful assist to Diamond Miller. That quick pump fake did just enough to earn the bucket. Of course, Diamond Miller makes it. She makes everything.
And our number 1 play comes from men's basketball. It's Hakeem Hart finding Jameer Young, who lobs it up to Ian Martinez for the jam. Great transition offense. Look at those hops from Martinez one more time. And congrats to Ian for being our top play of the week. And that's going to do it for this edition of The Left Bench. Our thanks to Kevin McNulty, Ben Reitman, and Brandon Schwartzberg for joining us today.
Be sure to keep up with all of Terrapin Sports Central's coverage on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
We'll see you next time.